Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Don. Congratulations on the hard work done in Wisconsin.
Yeah, we did a lot of heavy lifting out here for sure. I'm still in the middle of processing it all. I finished the canvasser audit last night, and now I'm on to writing my big final closing report. But it looks like every ward that we canvassed in, I think except for one, so that's like something like 60 or 80 wards. All of them saw a shift to the left. Every single one, except for I think one, and I think it was like this close. So, but like like in Green Bay, all those wards went to the left. I think the towns outside Green Bay are Alloway and De Pere.
Mm-hmm.
They all ticked left. It was pretty complete as far as the win goes, for sure. And we saw it up and down all over the state. So I think that I've got to dig a lot more, but I feel like Wisconsin's woken up, and they've realized that if they don't vote, they're in a world of trouble. And obviously we're already in a world of trouble, but sadly, this isn't the worst case scenario. So it could be worse. So I think people are finally waking up to that reality, and I think you saw it in that election on Tuesday.
I think people in Wisconsin like Janet Protasiewicz went 11 points 2 years ago. And I noticed people on my Facebook page were like, it was rigged, And I mentioned, well, how do you explain Janet Protasiewicz winning by 11 points 2 years ago? And then crickets, of course, nothing.
No, they only believe in elections that Trump wins. If Trump's not on the ballot, I don't even think they think it's a real election. The Trumpers, the MAGA. That's why they don't show up. I know that they don't think every election's legit. And I think they only think the ones that Trump's actually on, that he wins, are legit.
You used a word that I am not sure they're aware of. THINK. You started right. They don't think.
They don't think.
They really, honest to God, these people live from their lizard brains. It's response, there's a fly, let's go eat it. Anybody who would tariff penguins, 2 islands of penguins. Thank you, Cece. I loved your comment about the penguins, by the way. Cece gave us donated. And of course, then y'all have people that are waking up, and I live in Texas where we're not awake. There were tons of people on the street yesterday, but we have a governor who said, well, I'm just not sure if I'm ever going to fill that congressional seat in Houston. Now, there's a law that's how you're supposed to do it by. And apparently Jeffries got on yesterday and said, well, we'll just have to come talk to you in a court of law about that. We'll have to find a courtroom with the door wide enough to fit his wheelchair and get him in there.
All that DEI ramps and,
all those things.
All that stuff's going to help him out so he can get to that courtroom, so he can find out he's a giant little turd on wheels.
There's 250 alterations, redesigns in the Texas legislature. So he designed for people in wheelchairs to get around. And he said at one point, I want to tear them all out. Good. Then you can stay on the ground floor. You can't even get to where you work. Yeah, well, it's hard for Greg Abbott to stand for anything because he has a little different.
Well, the tree missed him. Come on, let's put the blame where it belongs. That tree.
Yes. And the insurance company that paid him enormous amounts of money for his pain and suffering. And the first bill he put through when he was a legislator in the Texas was to
It's
get rid
cap,
of the law,
the cap on all
put
that.
a cap on that. They got rid of it so no one could ever cash out like
They were
that.
also defunding the lawyers who were funding Democratic campaigns in Texas. I mean, that's the real reason, you know. They had to go after the money. That's why, you know, Barron and Bud and all those guys all poof, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you see your AG got slapped up by the court?
woohoo. He's still in
What
office.
did he do this? Have they arrested him yet and put him away?
No.
So who cares?
They got the judgment. The whistleblowers got the judgment.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. 4.6.
Oh, good. Yeah, those guys that worked for him. Ian McGrath, the Scotsman with a sense of humor. Don't shout timber near Abbott. Ian's got a mean wit. Ian also lives within sight of Trump's golf course in Scotland.
Oh, fun. Oh, that's right. That's your friend that monitors the situation.
Yes.
So, well, that's cool. Yeah, we're we're still like I'm basically basically for the next 7 days. I'm doing all my after action and stuff, but I'll tell you, it's a lot more fun when you win. You know, because at the end of the day, the math comes out with a W. But the one thing that came out to me that's starting to really kind of bubble through is a lot of younger people voted in a non-presidential and not a non-November election, and
for a judge,
Supreme Court judge. I mean, you understand the last two have been pretty busy. Like they spent 30 million the last one, they spent over 100 million this one, and they've got a Supreme Court race every year for the next I believe 6 years. 3 years. I think it's 5 actually, because
there's 3 in a row, then there's a year off, and there's 2 more.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but then you've got more right after. It's like your Aprils are going to be pretty busy. I'm already technically planning for the next April election. Can you believe it?
For the next 3 are all the conservatives.
Yeah, we're aware. And then you've got redistricting maps and stuff to fight over. That's worth a couple of congressional seats here in Wisconsin. So they're definitely going to go to the mat on that, and they should.
I thought the state was already settled. It's the federal maps haven't been changed.
It's a federal one.
Right. Yeah. By 2030 they're going to do census and
do it again in 2030, right?
Yeah. So 2030 is the real that's the real battle that's coming up, but believe me, 26 and 28 are going to be no slouches. So we're building to that for sure. The things I'm seeing, there's a lot of I think again, somehow everyone was shocked when Trump won. I remember in 2016 when he won, and everyone was shocked. I wasn't. It was a sad election watch party at my house for sure. But you know, at the end of the day, I'm like, all right. And this time they were shocked, but I don't know why we're shocked if we've already seen this party. You know, I don't understand why everyone's like, oh my god. I mean, I get it. Things are about to get really bad and are getting really, really bad, and they're going to get a lot worse. And we don't really have a chance to really do anything for about 18 months, because then it's the election, 2026 election, and then we'll actually be able to move some of these morons out of office. There's about 12 congressional seats. There's 18 that are generally considered, you know, but I wouldn't be surprised on top of the 18 there's an additional 10 to 15 that are in play. The new data is making me reevaluate the state house seats that we're looking at for 2026. I'd originally identified about 81 of them nationally that we were looking at, and that number could actually grow quite a bit because of the sorry, my phone is doing something. Because of the damn it, sorry. Because of all the changes in the demographics and of the voting universe, it could be even more. And I'm hoping that we're going to see changes up and down the ballot, not just at the top in 26. Like, please vote for something a congressional candidate plus everything down the ballot would be great, because that's what it's going to take. And once, it's inevitable he's going to lose control of Congress, definitely the House, if not the Senate. And when he does that, he's going to kind of go into, and by he, I mean Trump, is going to go into like crazy mode and just start lashing out. So as rough as these first 2 years are going to be, I would expect the next two to be even worse, in my opinion. Politically.
Yeah. I seen someone on Twitter.
I will be right back. I'm going to get my coffee. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Someone on Twitter that does the news, like, oh yeah, Cece said that. Yeah. I was just going to say that if the 15 points go nationwide, there's at least 60 House seats could flip the Democrats if that 15 points comes through. But it sure seems like there's certain people you're never going to get.
Oh no, and there's areas where people they're tied to their church, they're tied to their neighborhood, they're tied to their personal myths and legends that they live with, and there's nothing we can do about that. And we're battling.
They're just so deep into MAGA or whatever. It's like my one friend I know, I put on Facebook the clips of like Ted Cruz and JD Vance, what they said about Trump, long ago, calling him Hitler and and all their responses. People are have the ability to change their minds about someone.
Then why don't you change yours?
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't argue with them. I leave them to their sets of delusions. And
yeah, what do you think about that? Did you read about that?
Is it
the Supreme Court race in North Carolina?
Yeah, I'm not part of that. I don't really know.
I mean, did you read about it?
I've read a little bit about it, but I'll be honest, guys. The last 2 weeks, the Earth could have been hit by a meteor, and I would just be finding out this morning.
Oh no! Tell them when COVID was coming, and they were shouting from the rooftops, as of March 13th, everything stops. Sean was in the middle of running a primary, and he walked into Costco to pick up stuff, take home to the family, and it happens to be Sean's birthday. So they were having his birthday party that night, and he just strolled into Costco and got giant things of toilet paper. He didn't know why. He's got all this stuff, rolled home, and Natalie said, "Oh my God, you got toilet paper!" And he went, "Why couldn't someone get toilet paper?" All of that. So there's.
Yeah, I get very buried in my work, and sadly, it's facts. So I'm just giving you an idea. I haven't even fully finished yet, but I have to look at every single canvasser that canvassed in our program individually, daily. And I have to look at when they go in and when they go out. And I have all these different metrics that I look at just to make sure their canvassers there aren't any bad apples. And then if there's somebody that's having a problem, we can identify it and figure it out early. And then, I've also if we make changes, if that has any effect on the canvas. So I've basically been chewing through spreadsheets or traveling since election day. I mean, there just doesn't I think yesterday was my first day where I didn't actually have to be anywhere 100%. So, so I found a little spot, got my computer open, got a beer, and then just started working and churning and chewing on all the data. Because it's we had 133 canvassers out on Tuesday. So I have to look at every one of those. And the day before that, we had about 130. And the day before that, we had about 130. So you can see how my work it takes hours and hours and hours to do it. And then you've got, and then you got to pull it all and make it all fit the other day that you've collected. So my work gets pretty crazy. So when we talk about other states, I'll be like, I think I may have read something, but like until I'm in it, you know, I don't know if I have the bandwidth to handle everything else I'm doing plus what's going on over there. You know, that's kind of the reality of the work, I think.
So is there an app, or do you have little computers, or are you just like when someone goes to someone's house?
Oh, so we have
Or
the Democrats and Progressive community and some nonpartisan groups use VAN, which is a voter action network. Anyway, it's a software, it's a CRM. It basically manages the voter data file, and then we have an app that pops up on your phone, and then you can go to the right door, knock, and you can see who the voters are, talk to them, find out their disposition regarding whatever the question is for your campaign. So we collect all that data. What I look at is the first door, what time the first door they knocked, and then what time is the last door they knocked. And then that gives me a time on doors between the two of them. And so then from there, I can tell, you know, how I have the number of doors they knocked on, because I get that from the data, and I've got the number of people they talked to. So if I have how many minutes they're on doors, let's say they're on doors for 300 minutes, which is 5 hours, and they knocked on 50 doors, and they talked to 5 people. Well, that means that and I'm just using very easy math, they're doing 10 doors an hour, and they're spending way too much time on the doors per door. But then, you know, they're getting 1 contact an hour. You know, it just kind of rolls out like that. And you'll get 12% response rate when you knock on a door. And that's universal. And you'll have bad days and good days. But if you look at the average, it's like 12.5%. So almost a little over 1 in 10 doors open, and we actually talk to the person, which makes our sample for the cycle pretty big. We talked to about 10,000 people almost this cycle, so which is solid, especially given the short period of time that we operated. But that's the stuff I do. I know I get questions on my show all the time about what is it that exactly do you do. I'm like, I stare at spreadsheets until I go blind. That's why I wear glasses. It's the spreadsheets that did it, guaranteed. 08 is why I have glasses.
So is your group allowed to like leave a pamphlet or anything?
Oh yeah, we leave a door hanger.
Door hanger,
absolutely, and we leave a door hanger on every door, and no matter what. So if we talk to the person, of course they get a door hanger, and then if they're not there, we leave a door hanger. It was actually really cute. One of my canvassers got the way it works is you have first pass, which is where you go through your entire universe of doors the first time, and you kind of ID like doors that are inaccessible, apartment buildings you can't get into. You do all that IDing that first pass. So then you do the second pass, and the second pass is the same universe minus all of the bad doors that we've already ID'd. So that way that second pass actually, it's fewer doors and it goes much faster because you're not wasting your time wondering if there's a way to get into this apartment complex. You already did that. Now you've walked past the complex because you know you can't get into it. So that's second pass. And then there's GOTV pass, which is at the end where you're just targeting people who haven't voted that you've already ID'd that you need to get out and vote. During the first pass, my friend Treek knocked on a lady's door and gave her a pamphlet and had a really nice conversation. And Treek is and she's a nice little white lady in Green Bay. Treek is a 5'6", biggest black dude you ever met. He's great, and but he's huge, and
he's 6'5", not 5.
Sorry, 6'5". My bad. And then so he's on his second pass. He's going, going through the doors again, and he knocks on this door, and the lady that he talked to about a month and a half earlier came out again, and he didn't realize because Tariq did 100 door hours in like 5 weeks, which is nuts. So he didn't remember the door, obviously, but the lady remembered him because he is unique, and just ran out, gave him a big hug, and said, I've been telling everyone to go vote since we had our conversation, and just start talking and talking. And this man comes up behind Tariq, coming up to the house, and he's like, "Oh, what do we got here?" And she's like, "This is the young man who talked to me, and we talked about the vote." And he's like, "Oh, geez, I've been looking for you. She talks about you all the time. I think I'm gonna have to adopt you." And it's just these Green Bay people are they're hilarious, and they are just nice. I really, even the MAGA people were the politest MAGA people I've ever met. So, but we have stories like that go all through. We had another canvasser that hit a door and knocked on it, and this was Emma. She knocked on the door, and the lady came out, and she's like, "I remember you from the presidential election, and I just want to let you know I voted for the first time because we had a conversation, and I'm about to go out and vote again."
Mhm.
That was Emma's really awesome encounter, because Emma's also very unique, kind of short, big head of hair. She's very easy to identify, and and so yeah, so we had some really interesting conversations with voters on the front porch, and right now the industry is kind of interesting, political, outreach, and targeting, all that stuff. That stuff mostly stays the same, but the methodology that they take is somewhat different, or there's a new technology. So what they want to do now is there's somebody invented an app that, Mom, you remember in '08 when we had that app that you let into your phone book, and then Obama's campaign could identify
Right.
the
Right.
people in
You can use it.
Colorado
Right.
and the different primary states, that if you could just call your person and make sure they go vote. Well,
Right.
it's that kind of thing again. There are no new ideas in this business. It's just they wait long enough till enough people have died off, and then they reintroduce an old idea. So this is just an old idea with different packaging. They call it relational.
Yeah, because you like if you have a good friend or an acquaintance that you carry around, of course my phone would do them no good whatsoever. But if you have a group of people you have a relation with, and then they can use you as a reference to reach out to them. It's that whole thing. And what's really important is years and years and years ago, in the early 2000s, when I would do walking programs, if the candidate, and I was talking about city council race, if the candidate walked up to the door, we knew that that was equal to 12 hits. The person who talked to a candidate was going to tell 12 other people I'd met a candidate. If a person came to the door representing the candidate and saying, "I really like this person. I'm out in your neighborhood." And we used to try to match people to their neighborhoods, because people find out their neighbors like this candidate. Then that's good for 5 hits. That means the person can tell 5 people. But if you leave a door hanger, it's also the equivalent of 4 people. And our people used to scrawl things on it like, "Your spring flowers," our city council's in spring. "Your flower beds look good. I like your little English garden." They'd write something on the door hanger and leave it. So the person knew it wasn't just someone going down the street flyering everybody. And you go to targeted doors, people vote. So there's a whole science to it, but really, you put a candidate on somebody's doorstep and they lose it. They really do.
Also, you will hit the fewest doors per hour with your candidate, because everyone likes to talk to the candidate.
Or now they all want to take a picture of them with their cell phone.
Yeah, Nancy and I worked with a city council candidate who also was a Baptist preacher, whose father was the preacher before him.
Oh,
so
God,
literally
yes.
everybody in the neighborhood knew who he was.
He baptized most of them.
Yeah, I mean, so canvassing with Don was just hilarious. Also, he was a really cool guy. Vietnam vets. We had lots of really interesting stories. And you canvass when you canvass with a candidate, you get to know them pretty well. because you have lots of quality time to just walk around and talk. It's what you're doing between the doors, between the things you could improve on in the next contact with the next a voter, and just general stories to entertain yourselves. You learn a lot about your candidate. It's actually one of my favorite parts, I think. Back when I used to work with candidates, was that part. But that's the only part I miss, working with candidates.
So I think part of what Sean and I are trying to say to you is if you have the opportunity to work with or for a candidate, it's really important for those of you who walked away from yesterday's marches and meets and all that were all over the country, and you came back energized. Nothing will energize you like meeting people of a similar ilk, and it really helps build the base to grow from.
Oh, it's really not. It's just if you're registered to vote, they know you're. Well, different in different states. So in Wisconsin, they don't have birth dates on the ID. So it makes the John Smiths real fun to ID. You have no idea how old John Smith is, and there's also 11,000 of them. So they have your first name, your last name, your address that you're registered to vote at are the kind of the standard pieces of information they're going to have. Outside that, they're going to have like a VUID number, which is voter universal ID number, and that's kind of like your digital address for the database that manages all of that. Then you're sometimes, like in Texas, we can get like the last few elections history. We don't know who you voted for, of course, but we do know which primary you participated in, because in Texas it's not an open primary. There's the Democrat and the Republican primary, but you can only vote in one or the other. So in cities, it's common to see, D D D D D D D. Once you get into the suburbs, especially some of the voters that really have been participating in a while, and you go back and look at their voter history, you'll see that they're voted in Democratic and Republican primaries. So your question is, well, who are they? Well, if they voted in a Democratic primary, it's probably 08, be my guess. And otherwise, they're probably voting in the Republican primary to vote for the least crazy option, because the gerrymandering in Texas is so bad, especially at the state house level. Almost none of those state house seats are even up for grabs. They're so cut either Democrat or Republican that to take one would have to be a cataclysmic shift in political understanding of the population, i.e. Trump gets elected president and destroys the country. So now there's probably state house seats in Texas that you can go after, like in Collin County, Denton County, any of the suburb counties, I-35 corridor, definitely some in there that are worth going for, but only because Trump makes it possible. So back to the data. We'll know what primary you voted in. We don't know how far down the ballot you went or any of that jazz. We also know if you voted early or on election day or by mail. That's the other thing that we can determine via the data. What method do you use to vote? Was it early voting on election day or mail? And then, and absentee is another one. So we'll have that information. But really what I like to do, and so right now the states that's literally all the data the states have on anyone. That's if they have your voter history. A lot of them don't even have that. So what I tell all my candidates to do is once they have their voter universe ID'd, that is to say, we know this list is all the registered voters in my state house district. And there's probably about, I'm going to guess, around 65,000 total. That's about how many voters are in each state house seat in Texas. It goes up, it goes down, but that's a good number. And of those, you're going to get probably 30-40% will actually have a voter history of any kind. So what I do is I take the universe of active voters out of that universe, silo it, send it off to a data company where they take the people who actually know everything about you, which is like the Googles and all those guys.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about campaigns.
Oh yeah, no, campaigns don't know anything compared to those guys. So then I append all that extra data onto the list. So now these are the things I'll know. I'll know if you rent or own your home. I'll know approximately what your income rate is. I'll know what credit cards you use. I'll know if you have internet. That's the kind of information. I know how you absorb media, because that's the kind of information the corporations have. And I can append that to the voter universe, and that'll tell me a lot. I probably even find out if you work from home, probably.
That's where you get into Big Brother. The campaigns we run were not Big Brother.
No, not at all. I mean, now my dream is to be Big Brother, but back then it was not a thing. I mean, but now it's a real data is where the battle is, and that's where it's fought.
That's how Bush's brain made his reputation.
That's right. Yeah, I've talked about this on my show. Karl Rove started in Texas. He was there in the late 70s. And on these big giant reel-to-reel hard drives, he put the entire voter reg of Texas. Keep in mind, Texas is blue at this point. Or purple, but pretty blue. And so he takes the entire voter reg of Texas, and then he goes and he gets the entire, he goes to every evangelical church in Texas, gets their membership rolls, puts that in a spreadsheet, appends that to the voter database to find out who's not registered to vote. Then he got all of those evangelicals registered to vote. So by 1980, Reagan's president. And that's how it's done. That's how they did it. And they did it with reel-to-reel hard drives on a spreadsheet. It's like they were using Excel's great-great-grandfather called Lotus to do that, which is just insane to me, because it's like it is the great-great-grandfather of Excel. And to pull something like that off when they did it, I mean, I'm not a big Karl Rove fan, but I mean, respect.
They also developed robocalls. They worked with the same automatic phone systems that the televangelists use.
Yeah, and Eagle Forum and all those guys. Yeah.
Well, Sean, honey, I know we promised we wouldn't keep you away from your paperwork. He wants.
Oh yes, please let me go back to my spreadsheets. It sounds so exciting.
Beg us.
Well, it's been fun, and why did Texas go red? Oh, I think I just kind of explained that. They identified all the religious right wing, and they made abortion an issue. Remember 1977 is when all that went down. So they used abortion to leverage the religious vote to turn Texas red. And it's been red ever since. Sorry, the real quick version of that.
Except for Ann Richards, and she snuck by.
Well, you understand. Ann was in a three-way race where one of the guys said rape's not that bad. So Ann Richards, yes, she was governor for 4 years, but she did get beat by an idiot. Bush.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love Ann Richards and all, but I don't think she's quite the genius everyone makes her out to be. I think she was really smart, and I think but she was no political mastermind. She got very lucky. She had garbage opponents, and she was the last time Texas went blue statewide. But you understand, by the time she was, after her first 4 years, they spent those 4 years creating a database that nobody could beat. And certainly there wasn't enough money in Texas to fight off the Republicans at that point. In fact, a lot of the Democrats had turned Republican. Rick Perry was a Democrat back then. And then
all the senators changed.
Big John, he was a Democrat. All of them were. And then until it made math sense to go the other direction, plus the money. So anyway, guys, this has been fun.
Yep. Thanks, Megan.
I will we should do this again, and
we'll do it when you get settled in your next gig.
Oh, you're gonna call me from Virginia? I'll be in. It looks like I'll either be in Virginia or I could be in 10 different states at this point. So I'll let you guys know where I'll end up. And
You gonna
yeah,
be in the-
we'll touch base.
Are you going to be in the same district you were last time in Virginia, or?
No. So what was interesting about Virginia in 23 was there were 5 state house seats that were right next to each other, kind of clustered.
Yeah.
So they kind of planted us in the middle of those 5, and we went after all 5 of those and got 4 out of the 5, which is pretty solid. And so now there aren't really any good clusters in Virginia anymore. They're all the state house seats that are worth going after are kind of spread out. So it looks like I may be, I don't know where. The short answer is I have no idea where they're going to put me. There's no real good place to put me in Virginia like there was 2 years ago. So I'll probably end up camping out at whatever high priority state house seat they identify as a must win. And then I'll be running data for the other 7 or 8 state house seats.
Yeah, it could be a lot of traveling then, maybe.
Huh?
Maybe be organizing a bunch of red areas or something. And
well, we went after 5 state house seats last time, and we got 4 out of the 5. I'm one thing, Nancy, I will tell you, I've done my fair bit of state house seat work.
Yes.
And it's a real easy, chewable piece of turf to handle, and you can if you know what you're doing, you can run those pretty tight. So I'm hoping that we get the budget to go after all the state house seats I want to go after in Virginia in this November, and then I'll probably not even probably after November in Virginia, if that's where we end up, I'll be back in Wisconsin for the next April election, 100%. They've already told us. So, and I could be in any number of states for the 26th federal election. I'm not exactly sure where they're going to put me there yet, but such is the life of the political consultant. This is a target-rich environment. That's the problem.
Yes, it is.
Yes, well, go Target. Go have a fun time. I'll talk to you later, kiddo.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, Sean.
Bye, guys.
Bye. All righty. Yeah, Sean was rocking away. I didn't want to say anything, but I actually got 2 handwritten postcards from out of state just to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't targeting anyone. I'm like, wow. You're like,
that's Indivisible's work. That's Indivisible's work. 5051.com. That's their work. And somebody said something in here about Sean running for political office. This is his mother. No, he is not. He is not going to run for political office. It's bad enough doing what we do. Some people used to say, well, you know so much about government. Why don't you run? When I was still working with a lot of local politics. And I told him on election day, I'd be the person curled up in the corner saying, I don't want to know what the answer is. I mean, I don't have the stomach for that much polarity. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like back, the only political office or whatever I ran for, twice I ran for school board. And it's quite a feeling seeing your name above the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, yeah, I got in the first time. Well, right. The second time, I wanted to continue. But I did not. I lost by a few the second time, but it was a bad time in my life. I was going through a divorce at that time. So the little small town knew about it for some reason. They didn't want me in again because I was going through that. But it is quite an experience that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And if you have an itch, I mean, and there's a post you feel you can add something to.
But yeah, I mean, just to contribute and want to, I mean, before I started YouTube, I was thinking about running because our Democrat for the state house was thinking about retiring, but she didn't that year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I ended up doing YouTube here. She's fine. She's a Democrat, long time. And then a local village trustee member here, good person, ran after she did retire. Was running. So it made no sense to challenge her because she's a good person. I would have no problem, so that just kind of faded away because my area is Democrat. And it's pretty much, like trying to run against Mark Pocan, for the federal is nonsense. He's going to win no matter what, that kind of thing. So we're in good hands in my area as far as that. But if I lived in a rural area, I would throw my hat in to try to get rid of some clown. Republican clown that speaks nonsense,
And part of the thing is that Democrats walked away and they kind of gave up. And it really pissed me off because the Democrats had no one to vote for. So the Republicans would just walk in and it would be all ours on the tickets, and that's all they do. And it wasn't until 2006 that a bunch of lawyers got together and said, we need to run judges, just run them just so people know they're Democratic judges. And that's when Dallas County went blue. And it was blue all the time, but they never ran anybody. And that's kind of true in other parts of the state. Texas is a long, sad story. But it's a great place to learn about the intricacies of politics and how it works and how interpersonal things work, because you see it so close up and you can get in at kind of any kind of level. And Grace, I agree with you. I don't deal well with liars and game players. I'm rather blunt. And I actually had one candidate who shall remain nameless and sexless because they continued to threaten to sue me. But I was never so happy, but when they didn't win, I worked my butt off till they didn't, but when they chose to not stay in the race any longer, I was like, fine.
Yeah, Grace says she lives in a
Weatherford. I know exactly where Weatherford is.
Yeah, it's like Speaker Johnson didn't have a Democrat running against him. They had no chance to win, so they didn't put anyone up.
Well, that's what they say, but the thing is, you can't win if you don't run. And I understand people saying you're wasting assets running someone there. No, you're not, because that frees. Trust me, Republicans really shake when lots of Democrats run, because then they don't have all the money they think they have. They have to spread it out at least somehow to their people. So I'm proud of everyone who walked. I saw Cold Toes walked.
Tennessee is 0 point for how they want the country. Now, that ain't good. Well, they elected Marsha Blackburn again, so.
Oh, God.
Jules don't think her ballot was counted. Yeah. So, what questions were starred here? Okay, we'll go back to CC, the donation. So, are we going to is this going to translate into 2026? Because, people have short memories. Otherwise, 45 would never be close again. Is this momentum? Let's see what the cards say. Is the momentum going to continue into the 2026? 18 months away.
Okay.
Are the folks going to remember? Are there going to be changes? What's the energy of?
Okay.
Oh, that's excellent, Cold Toes. Smaller communities had marches too.
Oh, yeah. And that's really important because that's where people start to see their neighbors out and start to see other people out. And this, I had a friend and he freaked when Trump won the first time. And he said, oh, there's nothing. First of all, it took us a week to talk him into coming out of his house. And then when he came out, he and I talked, and I said, we got to go participate in a march because there's going to be a big march in downtown Dallas. And he's not a person of great stature as far as physically. And he said, oh, I'm kind of afraid of crowds. I said, grab a friend and go down. So finally, he just got really curious and he went down and he marched. He was a Brie and Chablis Democrat. He'd give money to go to the reception that had Cher at it and stuff like that. But he didn't ever really go out and participate in the streets. When he came back from that march, he was so energized. He couldn't see straight. And after that, he was at every march. I don't care who was marching about what. He was there. He loved him. And then he organized in a part of Dallas where a lot of people don't have cars. He had a place in bars where people could sign up if they needed a ride to the polls. And this was during COVID. And he had a bunch of friends together. They figured they drove over 300 people to the polls from their little movement. And they just did it on their own. And he told me, I never would have done that stuff if you hadn't convinced me to go walk. So it can start from there.
Yeah. From what my cards are showing in my senses, yes, I think this will continue. In my past position, I have 6 of Cups, Ace of Cups, and 9 of Coins. So when I get the feeling of that, is kind of like the summer of love feeling.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to remember. The 9 of Coins is kind of like the balancing, and the substance is going to still be there. Ace of Cups is obviously a love and abundance and celebrations. And then I get the Page of Swords, Death card, and the Sun. There too, moving forward, it's like we want it. People are going to remember and are going to want an ending.
Mm-hmm.
And then you receive light and healing and happiness. And in the end, I get the burdens lifted with Democrats being victorious. And of Wands, all the stresses and burdens. I have the Democrats here, Democrat card, my 10 of Cups. And then we have victory. So I think it's going to continue. The nonsense will this craziness will stick.
Right. Are you done?
Yep.
Okay, what I got is we're at the point of the Fool. We realize it's up to us. We have to deal with these decisions. And it's where our values are changing. It's where we're going to invest ourselves. And it's a heavy, heavy burden. That's how it feels right now. But this is why the change is going to continue on, because we realize we're dealing with the devil. He's not going to stop. And the outcome is the Queen of Cups upside down. Now, the Queen of Cups, if you look at her right side up, she's looking into that cup and it's got a lid on it. Well, when it's upside down, the lid's taken off and the liars are exposed and the truth can come out. So it's not going to be an easy journey. And I feel for the people. I was supposed to go to the thing in downtown Dallas, and there was a way to take the rail. But then I remember the last time I did something like that was when Colbert and Stewart had their rally in Washington, D.C. I went with my daughter and a friend, and we ended up in we got a picture of the mall. We figured out where to go. We found a bench. We went real early in the morning so that we could get a bench, which was fortunate because 100,000 people came to that thing, filled the mall. I mean, really way overfilled. The best part was being there early and watching all the people and their signs and stuff go by. But at the very end of it, the energy of the crowd started to get to me, and it hit my heart, and it triggered my heart, and I got an ambulance ride out of that crowd. And since then, I've gone into slightly smaller, a lot smaller crowds. I just don't do crowds well, and I know I ought to be able to block all that energy, but. And yes, Republican critters are already afraid of the Congress.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And even Rand Paul's not afraid of the Congress. He's afraid of the Senate. Rand Paul's afraid they're going to find out about his Russian money. So watch him squirm.
Yeah. Well, we already know about his Russian money.
I know. What was it yesterday? They talking about people that were on that weird phone call, the Signal phone call. A bunch of them have Russian emails.
Yeah.
That's not suspicious.
Yeah.
Oh God, are the Republicans scared of this? Yep. They see truth riding in. They see people understanding their connections to all this dark money. They see the world beginning to understand how tied they are to foreign powers. And they see someone coming in that wants to stop this and change the enterprise. And their little king is upside down. The king of swords for them is upside down. So that's it.
Good. So, have you seen anything about this, Matt?
Yes, I know. Sean knows a lot more about some of these states than he says because he can't tell you the numbers he's looking at. And I can't tell you either, but I can tell you it does not look bad. North Carolina's been organizing for a long, long time, and it had a really strong organization. With that rather large African-American minister. Well, and I don't know what faith he was, but he had a lot of stuff going on in North Carolina. And then the Republicans started playing games with it, but there's a suit about how they want to throw out these votes and it'll change the Supreme Court. And I don't think they're going to win. I think finally the courts are holding. It's just everybody's sort of waiting to see which way the Supreme Court goes. And I'm kind of hoping that it ends up being like the good myth where the good powers come forth. We can read on if it's going to get a final ruling. They're tying it up. It's one thing this country's got to learn is it's got to speed up its court system.
Yeah, the Republican candidate lost, and now the appeals court in a 2-1 ruling said, yeah, they can look at the votes, and they're giving them 15 days to cure ballots. So this ruling, I mean, it could go up to the Supreme Court in North Carolina. It was a 2-1 appeals court that said this, and they're Republican leaning, of course there. But the question is,
they have to bring a certain amount of proof. It's still kind of an iffy situation, but the Republicans weren't ready to have to defend this. They thought they were going to walk it through, and it all starts with them trying to disenfranchise people, and they just didn't. But the out card, I'll go with the out card. They get justice in the end. So,
yeah, I think so. It's sure chaotic with my other cards.
Yeah, they don't make sense. They don't hold together.
But my ending gets the Democrat, the liberal actually has the prosperity in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's complete chaos. I got the magician, so they're trying to manufacture something that isn't there through technicalities. Complete chaos with the 10 of Swords, and then my dark trying to transition and change a result that didn't really happen, and then big money lies in the seat, and then we just have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
go through the process, and then I get a fair ruling in the end. But yeah, it's just her group. Yeah, on the bottom of the deck, I had the feminine energy of my Empress, my Duchess. But I get the liberal judge that one posted for donations. It's going to cost a lot of lawyers to appeal and get this done. And
I know.
And I mean, it's so close. She won by like 700 votes or something. And if you throw out those 65,000, it's just nuts. And I never seen, but where the heck is he getting all his dirty money to do all these appeals? It just ruin people's lives, basically.
And those kind of courts matter. I mean, they really, really matter to what happens around you every day. That's what's so sad about all this mess.
Oh, hi, Gigi. I see she popped in. Okay. Jill was wondering about Social Security. You said you got yours early?
Yeah, I already got my check. I got it a week early.
Let's see. So, guys, the Senate got their resolution through. All the crazy tax cuts, supposedly, in the Senate. Every single amendment by the Democrats was denied to protect Social Security, protect Medicare, everything. So it's just a resolution. It's still a month-long debate about the budget and whatnot. There were cuts in there they're talking about for Medicare, Social Security, whatnot. So I guess what's the long-term outlook on Social Security and Medicare and those social services? Let's see what the cards say. The long-term outlook. Social Security with Republicans right now in charge. Okay. Start out with Ace of Pentacles. That means it's safe. Restriction.
Oh, I see it's going to be. I start with the Ace of Cups. Keeps flowing. Wiser minds are behind some of what's going on inside that agency. I kind of told my kids, I kind of wonder if they're not pumping out as many checks as they can before Alana and his people show up. But this is my guy for Alana, and he's upside down. He didn't move on it fast enough. That's a Knight of Coins. And then what I see happening is people are wising up. They're not taking the BS. They're listening to their own intuitions, and they're trying to move forward. So it's going to be a stalemate, which is good for us. A stalemate, to me, the Two of Swords, means that they're not going to take over, nor are we going to see giant moves in the other way. I told you that I went to pick up the kind of asthma stuff I use to control my allergies, and it was $68, but that was for 35 puffs, and that was like a month's worth for a normal person. But for me, that would last for almost a year because I didn't use it very often. I went to pick it up when I did my reorder. It was $409 because Trump has taken off all of the controls of all of Big Pharma about what you get charged. So I called my doctor and I said, now granted, they have a $2,000 cap, but I don't want to spend $2,000 on Big Pharma. So I called my doctor. So we came up with Plan B. And Plan B, when my daughter went to pick it up, was 97 cents. Because the second medicine was under the plan that got pushed through under Biden and controlled all the drug prices. The medicine that went from $68 to $409 was on the second list of medicines which had not gone through the same congressional approval. So it didn't hold. He could get rid of that with an executive order. And I really feel for people who need that stuff to breathe because I don't need it every day. But man.
Yeah.
So that's one lonely little person sitting in Texas' story. And that's that. And then the new stuff I got, you put through a nebulizer. It's a different strategy to deal with it. But I tell you what, keep my homeopath on speed dial because we're not going to be able to afford to get sick.
Very true. It's going to be chaotic according to my cards.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of frustrations, but there's a lot of arguments within, but I think it holds. In the end, I don't think it's going to be. My end cards are 8 of Swords, so there's restrictions on doing anything. There's frustrations there. King of Swords would be a leader that would, take charge. 8 of Pentacles is continual work, and then I get the Sun.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sun is everything coming out bright and shiny and good to go. But all the rest of the cards together, if you look at them, it's just all chaos. 9 of Swords is all the seniors and that need this. There's a lot of fears and frustrations, and then that energy into that causes a lot of worries and arguments and battles. So it's nonsense for no reason. I don't think it's ever going to change. If you want to see people lose their seats, get rid of that care.
Well, somebody just commented in here. In Oregon, a small town that got flooded out, just found out they're not going to get any FEMA help. And it's over in the part of Oregon that's red. And, and I feel sorry for them. And I think if there's anything we can do to help get them the aid they should get as U.S. citizens, we should try.
Yeah, those jerks are not giving Democrat type states the FEMA help. They're withholding it. It's freaking nonsense. That is one of, honest to God, the single most important thing is if they take grandma's stipend away so she can't live in her little 1-bedroom happy place where she doesn't have to take care of everybody and she has to move in with them or she's on the streets. That's where Social Security came from. We had old people dying in the streets because they had no place to go. Yeah. At least unless my other daughter has 5 kids in the meantime. She said if I'm ever near homeless, I could stay with her.
Yeah, but that only lasts I do live with my kids, but it's a very business-like situation. Also, we now have measles in Tarrant County, and they believe we're going to have some. And what happened is someone took their kid with measles to a big resort area in Tarrant County, and the kid was in there for 2 days with active measles running around the place.
This is true, Coltos. I remember quite a few years ago, I happened to see a little TikTok video or some video somewhere. And there was a bunch of teenagers, or not teenagers, young 20 people, 20 years old, whatever, were at some concert or something, and got a clip of this young lady drunk and stumbling, and she goes, "I don't think there's a God because of Trump." It was funny, but it's true.
Mhm.
The Colto mentioned here about believing in hell, and that he's cried for eternity for all he's done. So yeah, it's just ugh. Yeah, Sheila here is talking about all the chaos in certain agencies, HHS,
And they've frozen them all and said, no, they're not really fired, but you went through it in your household. That's fine for someone to say, theoretically, you're not fired. But if the door's locked and you can't get in or there's no machines to work with, what the hell do you do? At one Social Security office near me, they went in and they found they'd taken all of their headsets. So they have, how people can talk to you on a headset for calls. They said, oh yeah, you can have the phone system back, but they have no way to use it.
Carrie, you was talking about like all vaccines for the winter season? You meaning like the flu and updated coronavirus and whatnot?
Yeah, there's the drug manufacturers are still making them. They're just not developing anything new. I'm more worried about our food supply than I am about vaccines.
Another child has died of measles. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord. Yeah, I'm sensing they will be available, but there might be a shortage. There's some kind of ticks going on. It's not perfect.
And they're not developing for the newer strains of COVID that's showing up.
No, if you don't have the funding for it.
No, they fired all the people who. I wouldn't want anybody that's left in there developing my vaccine. Thank you.
Okay. Back to the start. Okay. Big read. Beth is wondering, is there anyone working behind the scenes to remove Trump, or at least strain him in or something? Oh, what deck wants to tackle this? This is a full read here to see what's going on.
Okay.
Is there anybody working behind the scenes to rein him in, remove him, whatever?
You mean official, not somebody with a
Yeah.
intent. Using law. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, using law, finding legal limits, whatever the case may be.
Yes, the Queen of Swords. Bottom of my deck, but
Nice.
oh yes. Ew. It's going to come suddenly. It's going to be because he's planted these things so badly. They're done totally ill-advised. It's going to throw them all out of their little golden positions. It's going to start when they start turning on each other. And then someone's going to, it's because of the threat of jail. That's the Eight of Swords. And it's the Knight of Wands who's going to be working with the Queen of Swords. Yeah, they're working on it.
Oh.
What'd you get?
lot of interesting cards. Now I got to figure out what that means.
Oh, yeah, nothing like interesting cards when we don't know what they mean.
Okay. In the past, Knight of Coins, Judgment, and Three of Wands. Okay. We got a noble person, persons of the Knight of Coins. There was a Judgment and Three of Wands. So they were looking outward. So there was an agency or some kind of people that were looking outward into certain effects of him, you know, what they may have done. It could be like the agency of CISA, which is getting gutted too, I see. But they were working at it. And then the current energy, we got the Seven of Swords. So we got the trolls of the liars, the Hangman. There's a pause. There's being hamstrung, and then Eight of Cups. Okay. This agency or this people or what was going on had to walk away. So this is someone who's been fired, or this is a group that has been fired. They were thrown out the dry with the Hangman, and then they had to walk away from a situation. Okay. Moving forward, I do have a lot of energy and movement. The Eight of Wands, Knight of Wands, and the Seven of Cups. So I think that whatever's happening, they're trying to piece it together yet. There is energy in the right way, but they don't have everything with that Seven of Cups.
Right.
My outcome on the bottom, I do have the Devil. So they're trying to get rid of the Devil, figure what's up. Outcome. We have a King of Swords. So we have a fabulous leader, someone of courage, someone of conviction, a lawyer, judges, whatever. Magician. There is a group or someone that knows what's going on. With a female too, Queen of Coins, could be financial network, and then King of Wands. There is a lot of people, high authority, working on whatever it is to remove him. There is a large network. These are all people here. Organizations. Magician can be a lot of things. It could be an organization. It could be the elements of the universe coming together to make something happen. But yeah, I think there is something going down. There is something. I mean, when you have this many people together, it isn't like, nope.
No, they're there. And it's going to,
if anyone's not seen that, the Election Truth Alliance, there's a group. Jessica Dennison's been kind of involved in talking about it. They're looking at data. They're looking for funding to try to bring lawsuits, to bring challenges for recounts from their data. A magician could be this type of organization. I did get foreign people that did work that were outed. Could be part of those groups that, people that were outed maybe joined this group to how to help. So they could bring something, but they need either pro bono lawyers or the funding to go to court to get a judge to say, yes, you can look at the info to see if there was, it could all come from that and start off a chain reaction of looking into the truth. If they find, they get a court order, get a recount, and they find proof that there was illegal votes, whatever, that will set off a chain reaction. Like, well, we got to look at more. So it could be something like that. So yeah, these cards just came out pretty powerful. A whole organization and group looking at everything. Wheezy, there's a strain of the avian flu spreading in China. Oh, I did hear something about that. Oh, Lord. More fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Great time to get rid of the World Health Organization, the CDC, and Human Health and Human Services, and all that. Lisa Foster posted a video about all the cheating that's going on. I'm not sure what that is, but
Oh dear.
okay.
Oh dear. You know, this is like the worst reading I've done in a long time.
Oh no, don't tell me.
Yes, it's going to come here. Yes, it's going to hit us like a tower. And we're going to it's going to reestablish things that people thought were killed. And this is just, yes, it's coming. This is the sun enlightening the ways. And the Queen of Swords shows up again. And that is, will this hit the U.S.? Yes. And are the numbers right? 100% and 50%, yes. So if you didn't like a lockdown before, try lockdown without boiled eggs.
Okay. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Bottom, I got the Knight of Wands, and it started out with the 10 of Wands, so this could spread pretty quick. According to that. So I have a Magician. So we could have doctors or whatever trying to work on it, very burdened, and Six of Cups. So we've seen this. We've seen this before, right? Coronavirus. Moving forward, Page of Coins. So something of substance. So it could move. It could be moving in a different direction. It's 3 wands. It could spread, and then Wheel of Fortune. That's also my world card too. I combined the two, so yeah, we could see a spread. I'm not sure what this means, but I do have Death and Destruction in between Ace of Cups and Knight of Cups. So there's protection with death. You know, the heartbreak and a lot of illness. So that kind of confuses me. It's like there's protection around. We got a mean dog barking away.
It's okay. You live in a house with real people. We know you're not a bot. You live with real people.
So yeah, this does seem to be spreading. For some reason, there's protection there.
There may be a vaccine for it, or maybe one of the old vaccines will work.
Something like that. But yeah, there is death.
But we have to have someone to try it out on. Other than, here, come get this vaccine and see if you die.
Everything's coming down. So yeah, Ace of Cups would represent a vaccine. Okay. I'm gonna find we'll find quickly what Lisa posted.
Okay.
Oh, 9 days ago, Alan Lickman exposes something. Okay. I got that loaded up on my phone. I'll check that out later. It's what Lisa Foster posted about the election or something. Isn't there a vaccine for the chicken pox?
Yes, there is.
There is? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the thing that left a mark on your arm. When you were little, did you end up with a thing that's like a ring on your arm?
Yeah, I got a big size of a quarter scar.
Yeah, that's the old chickenpox. Now they do it differently, but my father had mine put in my butt because he didn't want me to have to worry about scars on my arms.
Another lockdown.
Not under this administration. They'll let us all go out and breathe on each other.
Earth Mama said that was smallpox.
Oh,
Yeah, that could be.
there is There is a vaccine for chickenpox because my youngest one got chickenpox, so they didn't have to get it. But it was about 30 years ago that it came out.
Well, I got my shingles. Yeah, I got the chickenpox when I was young. I got my shingles vaccine.
And what happens, this is scary. The virus goes down and it hides at the base of your spine. And then it waits for certain things to trigger it to come back up. And that's what causes shingles.
Eesh.
And I've already had it once, so.
Moment. I just grabbed 6 cards. I don't see a lockdown.
Republicans won't lock anything down. They'll just let us go. I'll go out there and kill each other.
But yeah, Knight of Cups comes up again, so there's protection there, but there may be some deaths and illness. Okay. Ugh. Cold Soul says shingles is terrible. My husband had and suffered. So yeah, my daughter posted about the sad death about the child that died of measles in Texas, and she said in her Facebook post to please get your children vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends, lives in the same town as her mother, and classmate of my daughter's mother, posted, "It's sad that child died, but vaccines aren't as good as they were back in the 70s. So
Yes.
I would not recommend getting any vaccine." So she's willing to have her grandkids just pass away because she believes vaccines aren't good enough.
Well, because people don't understand the theory of herd immunity. Vaccines don't work in every single person, but they give enough people protection so that the strain gets killed early within the herd. It's a herd immunity thing. It's very weird.
Ugh. Pox and shingles. Oh my Lord. That had to be bad. Wheezy said hospitals are full in China. Crematoriums are operating. Oh my God. It's hitting young people too.
It will.
Ugh.
But you got to realize the baseline health in China is relatively poor. There is a shingles vaccine, yes.
I got it a couple years back. It was a 2-dose shot. So yeah, that's what I posted. My friend that said that. I go, I told her, well, then don't get the shingles vaccine and see how much you like it, because she's the same age as me,
Mm-hmm.
in her mid-50s. Like, I just cannot believe these people. And I thought she was actually kind of normal. No, she's not normal. She was one of those people that posted that Kamala was using the earring, earbud to get the answers and questions at the debate. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Unreal. It's her business crew to take it out. I think this is going to be, I mean, every court has stopped. Whether people have moved on and said, I'm not going back in this government's a different thing, but every court has said you cannot fire people this way and allowing them to return. But it takes time, and then people want.
And when the thing is, they get their one-day headline, and you see the poor people standing outside the office, not able to get in. They don't go back and say they're all back in the office, or those. And some people don't go back in. It's too traumatic. But Elon's little bro boys are not everywhere they thought they would be, and they got locked out of a lot of parts of the government they wanted to go in. Lord knows what they stole, but the government's always had that information on you. And why did you trust anyone before to not open up and go steal it?
Looked at that. Okay. How does the orange man view the protests? Does he fear? That's a good question, Liz.
I'm just going to ask if it had any real effect on it. Because if he's ignoring it, it'll be a no.
To mention Don supposedly winning championship golf tournaments again instead of taking care of the country.
And meeting the caskets of soldiers that were killed.
Yeah, he was caught on tape saying he didn't care if the car companies lose money.
That ought to have an interesting effect in the Midwest.
Yeah. Okay. Man, I got the crazy man in the bubble and he gets good news.
What I got was he tried to ignore it. That's 4 swords. He tried to play like it wasn't there. But it did get through to him. It did get communicated to him. It made him feel unkingly. And people came to him with advice on how to deal with it. He's not paying any attention to it. But this is his ultimate outcome from all this, is a broken heart.
I got it. I got that too. So yeah, he's seen the news. I got that broken heart too. Heartbreak, conflicted. He disconnected from it. With anything else, he just like, okay, I seen it. And then I get a death card, which is like, it's a rebirth. So I wonder if that means he's gonna reverse all these taxes to try to look better again or something. And then I got the Hierophant. So it could be the government here. 2 of Swords, stalemate. Trying to balance forces, and 7 of Cups. That's fantasy.
I'm going to ask if it's
kind of like a feeling of back and forth stuff.
I'm going to see if it's affecting his underlings.
Well, they're all lying on Fox News today and CNN.
Well, that's okay. They can lie all they want.
Hard work, Moon, 8 of Swords. He did it to himself. A lot of deception. There's a lot of money I have no clue how that works, but they talk about shorting the stock market and all that. I have no clue how that works, but there could be a lot of money, favor money things going on here.
I see his underlings keep thinking he's so brilliant he's going to pull it out in the end. That shows you about the base intelligence of his underlings.
Yeah, that could be conflicted, but he wants his people to love him. Like I said, we've seen this before. He might just next week flip on everything, but he has no soul. You know, you'll see how bad things are, and then he just kind of turns it off and then wants someone to love him.
Somebody keeps saying, will there be another lockdown? No. We've tried to say it 3 different times. No.
No, I don't think so. I think we're getting a
This government, even if it was the best thing that could ever happen to us, they will never do it again. Because it's manly to die of diseases you could have prevented.
Liz had another good one here. So Elon is talking about moving out. But does that mean Doge is going to be moving out?
Okay. I'll ask if Doge is going to be moving.
From what I know, there is no rule or law that can't. You just can't have a special envoy for more than 130 days. But we need Doge.
He'd have to go before the Senate to run a major department.
Right. So basically, what came flying out?
Oh,
Work.
Look what I got for Doge going away. 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords. And it's because there's something that's going to happen around the high priest. There's a lot of stuff coming to light. The lovers don't want them to be around. People of agreement don't want them to be around. And what they've done is unjust, and it's going to be proven to be so. But it's not going to happen quickly because we got the Ace of Swords reversed. Well, I'll give my bunnies a workout.
I think they're gone. I'm getting they're gone. The current situation, I got the Hangman, so that's a surrender or a transition. Knight of Pentacles feels like the Doge team.
Mm-hmm.
Justice happening. So law and order is catching up to them. You know, the courts are stopping things, right? Mm-hmm. Law and order is catching up. And then I have the Hierophant. So this could be Doge too, but it's usually a higher order. But our structures, and then I have a Death card and a Tower with it. So there's a crumbling within the structures, and it has to come to an end. The Devil comes out in the end, my ending card. So that's a downfall, a failure. Two of Pentacles, changing of demands, balancing resources. The Fool, there's a new beginning. And then the Seven of Swords, a new strategy, evading the problem, stepping aside.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a lot of endings here. Like, this didn't work out. We're going to walk away. So, anyway, we got Justice coming down. The courts are going to probably end it. because they've been a failure at everything they try to do. The courts aren't allowing everything they've done. They'll, soon prove they haven't saved any money except for the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So I see it ending.
Well, they've done what they're supposed to do. They created a smokescreen.
True.
So they could come up with their daily hits of stupid things to do.
According to that spread, it's gone. Done. Supposedly they're 45 or whoever gave them a budget of 7 million, either a month or a week. I don't know what the heck it is, but I seen something about 7 million. But yeah, they're getting paid to wreck the federal agencies. 135 already. There's a couple good questions yet.
Okay.
Look to the future. Basically, what is that? Citizens United?
Mm-hmm.
Getting money out of politics? What is the future of the dark money in politics?
Okay.
Like, is every Supreme Court race going to cost $100 million in each state? Every presidential election will be a $2 billion election?
But I want all of you to all know that Sean doesn't get paid a percentage. Somebody said, all that money that flooded in, he must be doing well. I don't know where that money goes when you're running a campaign. I've never run a campaign with that kind of money in it, but
yeah, it isn't going to his PAC. It's going to a Democrat PAC or whatever to put out probably advertising.
It was advertising.
He was in a different PAC or whatever. I suppose it's not our place to know where he gets his funding, who's organizing.
No, I get questions about that, and I'm like, no, George Soros does not. I've never met the man. No connection to him.
Funding in politics. Funding in politics.
I got yes. I got people are starting to see what a tragedy this brings us. And they're going to want to go back to where things are more equal. And there she is again, the Queen of Swords, in the middle of whenever we talk about stuff. And it is a goal, and it is coming towards us with the chariot. It's the star and the chariot. It's going to happen. I don't know when.
Well, the Republicans still want that Elon money, don't they? And then that Cox Brothers money.
Koch brothers. It's
Koch
like
brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, the chicken and whatever. In the past, it's been fulfilling to get the money they want with the Nine of Cups. There is arguments and conflicts about the money with the Five of Wands and then the Devil. So it's become, money's become the addiction. Moving forward, or in the current situation with money in politics. Seven of Wands, standing their ground, kind of like this. Three of Wands, looking for more money, and then the Tower. So yeah, we can kind of see the chaos, like you said, we're seeing it, we're feeling it. Is this good? Isn't it good? Moving forward, I got the Star, Wheel of Fortune, Two of Wands.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be like a first stage coming. People wanting to make change, make positive changes. Outcome, the World. So yeah, there will be a success there. Queen of Cups, creative visionary, comes in, could be a female. 5 of Cups is loss, and then the 6 of Cups, past returning. So I think there will be an organization or something that will take on how to rechange this. There will be a completion at some point. It's going to take a while, obviously. How long before this is taken up? Obviously, I think we need a big control with the Democrats to actually get this thing taken down. Because these are all cups and a world completion. So these Democrat controls. It feels like it maybe after the 2032 election. It'll be taking care of money out of politics about then. So I asked about 2028. No. It feels like it's beyond that.
I see it out 4 years at least.
Yeah, definitely. Or maybe by the 2032, there's the money's out. Something like that. So there's actually like a fair, no dirty politics by 2032.
Money there was McCain-Feingold came as close as we came. And that's when the Supreme Court said, corporations are people too.
Oh, that's right. I did hear about that.
That was them.
McCain-Feingold. Oh, good Lord. How long will it take to oh my God, it's going to take a long time. The trust again.
I think a big part of it's going to be Russia has to fall. As long as they feel like we've got Russia out there working with us, they're not going to trust us as far as they can throw us.
Oh, bless you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. Congress became our overlords when people quit paying attention to how voters were chosen to vote, how districting happens. Because what you have now, and I know, and in most states where it's the legislature that chooses how to divide the state up, that meant that the politicians chose their voters. The voters don't choose their politicians. In states that have commissions that are independent, however you define independence, but there are some states that have them, and they divide the redistricting up. And that's what the furor is in Wisconsin, right? You had a commission draw it, and the legislature said, "No, that's not fair. You're taking away our people." But you can't. There is a way to have voter lines and districts and all that drawn by independent commissions.
Yeah, in Wisconsin, Governor Evers had either his people or hired some group to do something fair. Evers came up with the current state maps. Republicans fought it, but the other thing was to go an independent agency to look at it. So after the Supreme Court said, no, these maps are gerrymandered, they have to. So Evers and the Republicans in the state said, fine, we'll take yours. Because they looked at it and they said, they figured it out that Governor Evers' maps were fairer than an independent agency would do. So they accepted it.
Right.
Without going farther into the court. Because Governor Evers in Wisconsin actually did something on a fair result, you know. Because if an independent agency would have done it, it would have been worse. It would have made probably the Democrats take over.
Well, I mean, that's inside politics that we don't. It's like y'all hear more about Texas than you probably need to just because I'm here all the time.
Well,
But
Texas.
Texas in 2000, when the census was taken, in the legislative session in 2000, they redid the districts, and it came out pretty much even between Democrats and Republicans. Well, that's when we meet Karl Rove. He comes in with this little nifty system of, I'm going to make everybody very conservative. And he helps. When George Bush became governor, they went to the Supreme Court and said, we don't think it was fair that last legislature, even though that's how it had always been done before, drew the lines, and they wanted it back. So then the Supreme Court said yes. And they let them come redraw the lines in 2002. And then a whole lot of other states took notes off that and went ahead and did the same thing. And that was what made me crazy from 1970 on, when I started working in politics here.
So yeah, that's what happened. That's why Wisconsin went so red. Was 2010 census.
Mm-hmm.
Republicans gerrymandered the whole state so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats didn't have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then they took control of the Supreme Court in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And it took gradually getting Scott
took you guys like 10 years to get back to something.
10 years plus, because they gerrymandered the maps again. And luckily, we flipped the Supreme Court, which came down with a ruling, thanks to Janet Protasiewicz, 2022, to finally get decent maps. But they had the same bad maps again, even worse, in 2020, after the 2020 sentence. But they controlled. It's the same thing that happened in North Carolina, and they're finally moving into a better space. But it's over a decade of control thanks to those maps.
Mm-hmm.
And Wisconsin was generally always been led by Democrats until Walker snuck in there that one year, or one term, or whatever. But they did it in 2010, and it took a decade to get out of it. And then bring in propaganda.
Well, and to own a channel, to own a news channel, to own, and even more hideous than Fox, because Fox has already had its butt dragged into court. But Sinclair, which is all over the country, their local channels, and it used to be your local news channel reflected the people in your area. You know, I mean, that's where they came from. They're not from the ground up. Those people are all. You can watch Sinclair News in the Midwest, in Texas, or on the West Coast, and they're telling you the same lies. And when you turn on we used to have cable, and when we turned cable on, its preference was to go to the Sinclair News. That's the first thing. You couldn't avoid it. There's a whole lot of people in the media that should not be trusted. And one of the saddest things I saw is a woman in the area I live in. She just lost her federal grant. She was working on creating a curriculum to teach grade school kids critical thinking and watching social media, and how to watch the news, and how to understand the words that are fact words and fiction words and all that stuff. And yeah, it is. Reagan did it. He called it the fairness. That's the other thing, is you got to really watch. If Republicans call anything you might almost agree with, read the fine print, because you're not going to agree with it.
Yep. All right. We're at 150. Let's bring some inspiration for the week, what we need to know.
Okay, what's your week look like?
No, normal work. There was some big news actually in my business world.
Mm-hmm.
One of our competitors went bankrupt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Another competitor. So the owners, whatever, came from Chicago, last week and said you guys have severely failed.
Mm-hmm.
They were like $8 to $10 million in debt. They couldn't get any more products because everyone cut them off.
Mm-hmm.
And the owners said, we're not bailing you out. We're shutting it down. Bankruptcy sale. And then I guess I didn't even hear about this, but another business called Sherwood that delivers products went bankrupt too.
Hmm.
So we had a truck driver fail a drug test, and we've been short one trucker for about 4 months now, 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting 2 employees from that bankrupt company coming tomorrow.
Oh,
So at least I get hopefully go back to normal working hours. I mean, I like the overtime, but my long days get old.
yeah. And we don't, if we understood, and I have friends who live and work in Europe, if we understood the kind of working conditions they have there, I worked for myself for so long and I gave myself vacations, but they don't work anything like what we work. And, oh, what we're going to need in the next week, this is what I was afraid of. Going to need Scott's favorite beverage, caffeine.
Oh, no.
Fairies naturally trust in their connection to the spirit. It is second nature to them. They find life exciting and always are ready for the challenge. Do you need a boost to stimulate your interest in life? Are you a self-starter? If you're dependent on others to motivate you, then it's time to come in to learn your inner self. And that's what caffeine is for. It's for the self-starter. And I am a self-starter. I'm connected fully with my higher self. I'm fully equipped to do what I need and choose to do. I freely channel talent and enthusiasm. Have a triple shot of caffeine today.
I think 1 cup of Joe is enough for me today. Justice card coming out first.
Yes, that's beautiful, Justice.
That's a beautiful justice card for what's going on. Well, the protest,
Mm-hmm.
the fight for justice and equality, and going on now. Don't give up. Stay in the focus of what we deserve. And then I have Ada Raphael. That's saying there's something better waiting for us.
Mm-hmm.
Doing what's right. It's a spiritual quest. It's a balancing quest,
Mm-hmm.
which comes in with the Nine of Ariel, which is 9 of coins, and that's all about balance. It's all about your dreams becoming true. The hard work getting justice. It's the beauty in life. So we continue on this path, continue on the fight, and we will be rewarded. And I like it. Good 3 cards that randomly came out today.
I've got a show tomorrow morning at 11 with Terry from Holding Your Space. And it's a meditation. It's not a political show. And I've got my show on Tuesday. And right now I don't think I have anybody on it with me. I've got a show at 1:00 on Thursday, the 10th, with Deborah Lupian from Voices of the Akashic Records.
Yep,
And she's doing an 11-day set of shows where she's asked different channelers and readers in to come and discuss whatever we want. And in my case, it's how to live through the time of change, how to bring your change in, how to adapt yourself to it. And that's at 1:00 on Thursday. And then she channels some stuff in. I'll talk a little bit about what's going on. Then we'll be answering questions. And
That mean once the South falls, Oxford
South
Cape.
has already fallen down. The South needs to claw its way back up. It needs to understand its history. Don't get me started on the South.
Well, Louisiana did a great thing with their voting.
Yeah, they kicked all 4 of those amendments, threw them out of here. And then I'm starting the 9 candles again on the 20th something. You'll see it if you're into my channels. And I finally got the message. This is light your own candle, light your own spirit. And I spent 2 hours looking up all different kinds of candles to have in there. And I have a candle that looks like a blueberry pie. Found some fun stuff. And I should have not done it before I had my breakfast, because I've got 9 candles that are food. Anyway,
this is kind of blue.
Yeah. And everybody gets to bring whatever kind of candle they want, light them however they want, because it's how are you lighting your candle for yourself. That's what this 9 candles is going to be about. And I start tarot classes again on the 15th, 14th of April. If you go over to my website, you can sign up. There's a bunch of people in the chat here that are from my tarot class, and people that have found my tarot class from the morning, from our Sunday morning thing.
Cool.
So, and I'm still doing readings. I'm still doing grids. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to show how to build a grid when I do the show with Deborah. I'm going to rebuild my own personal grid.
And they're always around 1 p.m.
1
Central. Yeah.
And if you're subscribed to my channel, you will get notices with weird, strange pictures. Not as strange as a giant cheese wedge scrunching a Tesla, but we try.
All right, everyone. Thanks for the lot. Keep up with Sean and his adventures
Oh, yeah.
in Milwaukee and heading to Virginia.
Yes.
And thanks a lot for joining us. Blessings.
Okay. Bye.